And with that, it's time to go inside out as we welcome in our NBA insider, Ian Begley. Ian, you were at the Garden Wednesday. We heard from Brunson. What was the consensus in the locker room about what Young did at the end of the game?
Yeah, everyone kind of fell in line with Jalen Brunson, particularly Karl Anthony Towns. He said, look, if that's what Captain Jalen Brunson said, that's how I feel. So it was that tone in the locker room. But I have to think that privately this bothered some of those guys and, clearly bothered the fan base. It was another instance of Trae Young having a moment at Madison Square Garden. This one taking away a trip to Vegas from the Knicks. And obviously a couple of years ago taking a first-round series from the Knicks. So Trae Young and his theatrics have continued here in the Garden.
Yeah, definitely, I think, annoyed the fan base. Another thing that I think is annoying them just a bit, we talked to you last week after the Knicks beat the Hornets for their 4th straight win, and you spoke about how the inconsistency storyline seemed to be behind this team. But since then, they've lost to the Pistons, albeit without Karl Anthony Towns. They held on to beat the Raptors, but then they lost to the Hawks. So, Ian, why is this team back to being inconsistent? Why is this still a topic of conversation?
You look at those 2 games that you mentioned, Chelsea, and you look at the win in Toronto, and they have gotten dominated for the most part on the offensive glass, and I think that's going to be this team's Achilles heel. It's going to be rebounding the basketball. They've got to figure out a way to be more even on the boards and not give up those offensive rebounds, because when you lose that possession battle, it's going to be hard for you to win these games. You have to be there's that much less of a margin of error, and that's what you see in these last 3 games, 2 losses, a tight win in Toronto, and I think that's where this thing has to get shored up. I think you've seen evidence, right, that this team is very good offensively, that Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, very good in the pick and roll together, and when guys are hitting shots, it's a very good offense. The defense is going to be, middle of the pack at best, and so that's the formula for this team. But when the rebounding breaks down, you lose the possession game, you're going to have a tough time winning.
Yeah, one guy who could help them on the glass is Mitchell Robinson. We won't get a true look at what this complete Knicks team looks like until he suits up. So, Ian, what's the latest on when he might return?
He has started to shoot on the floor. Tom Thibodeau told us that last week, and I just checked in with somebody, and they said that he's not close, not anywhere really close to returning. So here we are, mid-December, hasn't started to take contact. I don't even know if he started sprinting yet, so he is certainly weeks away from coming back to the floor. And the tricky thing here with the Knicks is, in a perfect world, they would love to have him back as their backup center behind Karl Anthony Towns, but given his injury history and given the idea that he has had 2 major surgeries on both of his feet, it's a tricky one. 7-footer, foot injuries. It's certainly something that the Knicks are monitoring, and it's going to be hard for them, I think, to determine how much they have in Robinson before he gets out there on the floor. Then you have the trade deadline coming up. So tough hurdle, big decision to make for New York around early February.